Welcome to Firearms Friday from the Wyoming State Museum here in Cheyenne. I'm Evan Green. I'm the firearms historian for the museum. And today we've got a couple of Flintlock pistols that I want to talk about. And at some point we'll ask your assistance with identification because I have no idea what this one is. This one is an 1836 Waters. The 1836 Waters was the last flintlock handgun adopted by the United States military. It was the primary handgun for United States troops in the Mexican War, 1846, 1847. After the Mexican War, lots of these were converted from flintlock ignition to percussion ignition, and were issued to Union troops during the Civil War. So this one just really arouses my curiosity. And there's absolutely no information about where it was found, how it got to us in the museum, other than it's been here since 1962. So if this was used and issued for the Mexican War, did it somehow then end up being found in Wyoming? Don't know. Was it found somewhere else and brought to Wyoming and eventually donated to the museum? I have no idea. But again, 1836 was not a great year for flintlock ignition systems because the percussion system was coming into its own in that period of time. So you no longer had to put powder in the pan and adjust the flint. You could use percussion caps and a modified hammer to ignite that percussion cap and the charge in the firearm itself. So again, the last flintlock pistol that was issued to the U.S. military, and it's kind of an interesting coincidence, I guess, in that 1836 was when Samuel Colt patented his first percussion revolver, the Patterson revolver. He went bankrupt and was out of production until, again, was approached by Captain Samuel Walker, who wanted a more powerful revolving handgun for his role in the Mexican-American War. Unfortunately, Walker was killed before he took delivery on his handguns. But again, that was the period of transition away from single-shot handguns for the military to multiple shot repeating arms, including percussion revolvers. Of course, the military being the military, they still did this retrograde thing of adopting a single shot Remington rolling block pistol for the Navy after the Civil War. And you get these hidebound old desk jockeys in the military in Washington, D.C. Say, well, if we give them repeating firearms, they'll just waste ammunition. Can't have that, So let's give them single-shot firearms so they get overrun by Native Americans at the Little Bighorn. But no more rant in that regard, based on my somewhat limited experience being a member of the United States military. So this little firearm over here is really intriguing to me. And this was one of the items in the recent acquisition of firearms given to the museum by a very generous donor here in Cheyenne. He'd been collecting firearms for 50 years, had some amazing examples that you'll see in one of my videos and that will be examined further individually later on. So this one is just a puzzle to me. It's tiny. I can hardly get my finger in the trigger guard, and the lock is just very small. So I thought, what is this? Was it something that a gunsmith made back in the day when many of these firearms of this type were one-off? Some gunsmith sat down and made it from scratch. Was it just a sample to say, this is what I can make? I can make a full-size firearm. But it's been used, it's worn, it's obviously been fired, it's been damaged and repaired. And it's a fairly significant caliber. I think it's like a 45 or 48 caliber. So it's no plaything. But was it made for a child? Was it made for a petite woman? I don't know. It's got this interesting inlay on the back of the grip here that looks like it might be a face, and it's got the same thing up here on the front close to the muzzle. But it's got engraving on the butt cap, fairly elaborate brass inlays. It's got what is probably the original ramrod for it. But I can't try to Google very small flintlock pistol and you get miniatures or toys. So if you've got any idea, there's no markings on it. Often the locks were marked, and a specialist here in the building speculated that it might be a London firearm, and maybe the lock was made by a firm called Barrett in London, who did a lot of locks and a lot of flintlock and percussion firearms in the 16 and 1700s, early 1800s. So if you got any thoughts about this particular little pistol, put them in the comments or give me a call if you've got ideas about what it is. So anyway, interesting old relic here that was dug up somewhere, and this very diminutive flintlock pistol. So thank you for watching.